Namaste. Welcome back to my channel Food for Thought. My name is Abhishek Ganguly and I am a political enthusiast. Today we will look into the 3 farm laws brought in by the Modi government and we will try to analyze them. The first law is actually an amendment to the 1955 Essential Commodities Act. The second law is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services. The third law is the Farmers Produce, Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation. We will look into the context behind these laws and the goals that these laws try to achieve. If you like my content, please give it a thumbs up, do subscribe below, click on the notifications icon. Now we come to the first law, which is actually an amendment to the 1955 Essential Commodities Act. Well, this law actually can be traced back to 1939, when the then British government during World War II tried to control the supply of essential goods. This actually ensured that the people of India starve. A classic example was the 1943 Bengal famine, where food grains left Bengal and 3 million Bengalis died. Now, what is this law? This law actually says that the government can control how much someone can store any grain or any good which is termed as essential commodity and at what price that person can sell the same. This actually dissuades traders from storing them and selling them back when the demands are high or the supply is low. Let me give you an example how. Say a trader has 100 kg of rice. The limit that the government allows today of how much someone can store rice is say 250 kilograms. So he has a buffer of 150 kilograms. Now he decides that okay, this is September and in December I see a big price rise coming in rice. So I can go into a contract with a farmer that okay, by December you will give me 150 kgs more. I'll have 250 kgs of rice and I can sell them at a higher price. However, when December approaches, suddenly the government changes the rules of storage and overnight the new storage rule says no one can store beyond 100 kgs. Then the trader cannot honor that contract with the farmer. So this is the challenge and this is why actually no one built warehouses. If the government controls how much you can store and at what price you can sell, where is the incentive to build a warehouse? Without warehouse, perishable goods like onions and potatoes, they all actually go for a waste. That is why we see sometimes onions selling at 5 rupees a kg and farmers throwing it on the roads and sometimes onion rising to 100 rupees a kg. Now what this new amendment does is it reduces the power of the central government as well as the state government to enforce any stock or pricing limits on the commodities. And it also makes the commodity list shorter. Now government can only intervene if there is a huge price rise or war or famine or any extreme circumstances. Only under those circumstances the government can intervene and control your stocking or pricing. Apart from that, under normal circumstances, a farmer or a trader can store as much as he or she wants and sell it whenever he or she decides. This is the first one. Now we come to the second law, which is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services. What this law allows is contractual farming. Let's look into this with another example. Say a 5-star hotel chain knows that okay, I need 100 kgs of flour during December, Christmas and New Year's Eve. So they want to buy the flour from the market. Now what they have to do is they have to go to the market and they have to buy. They cannot buy directly from the farmers. And the farmers, they actually have to sell it to their mandis by the APMC Act. They cannot directly sell them to the 5-star hotels. Through this law, any farmer can actually go into a contract with a 5-star hotel directly and say in September, the 5-star hotel can say that okay, you are a farmer, you supply me 100 kgs of flour in December at this price. So this actually cuts all the middlemen out and two people can directly trade. This actually smoothens the process. Now we come to the third and the final law, which is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce. What this law enables is it promotes barrier-free interstate and intrastate trade for farmers' produce. What does this mean? Let's understand it with another example. Today, as per the APMC Act, a farmer has to sell his or her produce at the mandis, the district mandis. Say a farmer is at the border of a state, and on the next state tomatoes are in huge demand and he has grown tomatoes. He cannot go and sell it to another state, let alone another country or any other thing. So he has to go to that district assigned mandi and sell his produce. And there's a big cartel of middlemen sitting. So at the end of the day, a farmer puts on all his produce, and remember, these are perishable. So once they reach the mandi, they can't take the produce back. So they load the produce on the bullock cart and he drags it to the mandi. And in the mandi, the cartel actually gives him a very cheap rate and takes up all his produce. So the farmer doesn't get a good price. Then what happens is the mandi people are taxed 6 to 8% by the state government, and then the middleman commission starts. In 2012, Kapil Sibal in his parliament speech mentioned that usually there are 8 middlemen between the farmer and the end consumer, and all of them take the commission. So a tomato which is sold at 2 rupees a kg by the farmer is bought by 40 rupees a kg by the end consumer. This is the huge difference from farm to fork, which actually makes our system very inefficient. This law by the Modi government actually reduces the monopoly of the APMCs, and now the farmer can sell his or her produce wherever he or she wants, be it in the next village, be it in the next district, or be it in any other state. So these are the 3 laws which the Modi government has brought, and the last law, as we mentioned, reduces the powers of the APMCs, and since it also takes away that 6-8% tax for the state governments, we see multiple protests in Haryana, Punjab and a few other states. Now I leave it here and I would let you think on it. If you feel these laws are farmer friendly, then good. If not, then we need more discussions on it. Do let me know in the comment section what you feel about these laws, and thank you. Bye bye.